two members of the British Parliament from the ruling Labour Party, um, Abtisam Mohammed and Yuan Yang, flew to Israel yesterday for a mission of gathering information on the activities of security forces and so on. And Israel surprisingly wasn't too enthusiastic about letting them in to help the extermination of the Jewish people attempts by the Palestinians and sent them back. Now, that seems reasonable, if not generous. Israel could arrest them and could try them as enemy combatants, I would say. But for some reason, in Britain, the problem here is apparently the fact that Israel didn't allow these terrorist supporters and would be, in a sense, terrorists themselves into the country to aid the war effort against it. Now, Britain, remember, is a country that doesn't let people into the country if they are comedians who made an offensive joke, if they are political activists, outside the Overton window, and so on. But this is an actual war, and they are actually openly supporters of Israel's enemies, and have said that they are there on a intelligence gathering mission or whatever it was. So yeah, like pretty much every story we cover here, the story itself is bizarre, and also in a sense the right and wrong of it is clear, and then the backlash is even more bizarre because the evil side is the side we're supposed to support. Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Razi Ginzberg. I'm joined by Daniel Kraus. Daniel, your thoughts on this story?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I don't know exactly what even has happened because so the British MPs are claiming they were there on a delegation and they did basically coordinate with someone, while Israel is saying we had no idea you guys are coming, we're not letting you in. Um, so there's that aspect, which again sort of doesn't really matter that much. I have no idea why these politicians would want to go there and why Israel should allow them to come in. Now, again, sort of this is not really sort of like freedom of movement thing. These people are not like private citizens. They are public officials. They have a different status. And for all I care, all of the Labour Party should be made persona non grata to most of the world, for that matter. Uh, but yeah, there really shouldn't be dealing with that. This should not be a scandal. The Conservative Party in the UK is sort of standing, or at least Kemi Badenoch, I believe she's still the leader of the Conservative Party. She came out in support of Israel, basically. I think not really using a good argument. I'm not sure if I think she said something, every country should be able to control its borders. And that's what Israel is doing, as far as I understand, which I don't think is like the best thing, because technically you are also saying that if Israel completely closed down from everybody, then, they can control their border, which is correct on the technical aspect, like, yeah, country will control its borders, but sort of morally, I think it's a much different issue, is the fact that they probably shouldn't let especially politicians who do actively argue against Israel, actively argue in the British Parliament against Israeli actions. Specifically, I think Yuan Yang on X, after October 7th, she said nothing, and then she only spoke about like 2 weeks after about the humanitarian crisis or humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Those kind of people don't, again, politicians, they don't deserve to go into Israel for any I don't know what this was even supposed to be, some fact-finding mission, or some they were supposed to go to the West Bank to watch some stuff.
Yeah, that Kemi response, I think the conservatives did very well in choosing her, but that's not a good response. It's a response that kind of talks to the anti-immigration base, and this is not an immigration issue. These women were not coming to immigrate to Israel. They were there to aid an enemy in a war effort. So a correct response would be a country I don't want to say has the right to defend itself because that's what people usually say before they explain why Israel shouldn't defend itself. But yeah, this is part of a war, not part of an immigration policy, Kemi. So unfortunately, you're wrong on that. You said at some point, Daniel, why would they want to go there? Well, the reason they want to go there is because the war the people they support started isn't going the way they were hoping. Israel is still around. Not enough Jews, I guess, have been massacred since October 7th to these women's liking. And yeah, I mean it's very much aligned with their values. You know, there are people like Ayaan Hirsi Ali who left vile cultures, totalitarian regimes, came to the West and fought against the kind of stuff she came from. You don't see the one, I don't care about their names, but the one who was born in Yemen talking about Yemen being a horrible totalitarian dictatorship that's starting wars. So yeah, once again, never buy from these people when they talk about humanitarian causes. They are against humans living well across the board. The other one is from China. Would is she critical of China? Would China let her in if she was critical of China? So yeah, these are bad people, and it should be obvious that that's the right thing to do. And the UK, by the way, if it was better, might consider not letting them in when they come back in. Although technically, as citizens, I guess they have to, and then um, deal with them as citizens. But remember, they went there to support an organization that is designated a terrorist organization in this country. So yeah, I would think there might be a legal case here, which I'm gonna take a wild guess and say is not gonna be pursued.
Yeah, I mean, someone in the chat says, why would they let the Chinese woman and the Yemeni woman? Well, first and foremost, that doesn't really matter. They are British citizens. They are British MPs. Whatever count. I mean, I'm for their sake. I'm glad that they got out of both of those places, and I wish they would use that Western freedom for something more than trying to advocate for the same kind of authoritarianism, or at least support the group that would argue for something honestly even worse than China in this scenario. Now, uh, one of them, or I think both of them, has said, talking about this case, has said that it is vital that parliamentarians are able to witness firsthand the situation in the occupied Palestinian territory, and that sort of assumes that they would change their mind if they saw something different, which is absolutely not the case. You don't, and I do not even necessarily like the idea of that you can only sort of say anything about this unless you travel there. There are some principles, there are some history we know about this whole conflict, about what has started there. You can watch the videos on what happened on October 7th. You can generally just watch the news about everything that has happened. And if by now you are still undecided, or you're still think that maybe Palestinians or maybe Hamas have something, have some points, then you have no intention of actually like your goal is to disprove Israel. Your goal is to try to argue against Israel in any way you can, and whatever you can find. And again, like they were supposed to go to the West Bank. I'm not. I can't remember specifically what organization they were supposed to go there to check on or to see how it works. But like the whole thing is like the whole thing in the West Bank is a mess. Israel should simply take over both of the places, both Gaza and the West Bank, and sort of like trying to go in. The West Bank, or trying to go into Gaza and saying like, like humanitarian aid is not distributed properly, or Israel is not doing everything it needs to distribute aid. Get rid of Hamas first and foremost, and in West Bank, get rid of the Palestinian Authority. Once Israel is the sole administrator of the region, then we can talk about if Israel is administering the aid properly, or if it's discriminating. But when you have this, like Palestinian Authority is the government in the specific parts of the West Bank, most of the stuff is on them. And if you don't like the situation that it is right now, we can easily get rid of Oslo and go back.
Yeah. I haven't been to Judea and Samaria on the west bank of the Jordan River in many years, or not many, but years. Uh, but I can provide an update in case these two MPs are watching. Let me tell you directly. First of all, fuck you. Second of all, I'll tell you what the situation is in the West Bank right now. The Palestinians are still not rising up against the organizations that say that all they want to do is exterminate the Jews. You're welcome. That's what's going on. So yes, if you worry about if you're a supporter of humanitarian causes and want humans to live better, you absolutely should advocate for Israel to go to proper war, both in Gaza, which is doing better, but could do even better, and then the same thing in the West Bank, and that the final result involves the Palestinians going elsewhere. So that is what a humanitarian would support. I don't see that happening either. Wanted to say something else. Oh, okay. There was a comment. These MPs were attempting to cause a diplomatic incident, probably at the behest of David Lammy. I don't know about the second part. I absolutely would not be surprised. I just have seen no evidence for that. But yeah, it was, it was within a short period of time of this happening that David Lammy already decided that Israel is at fault, without actually needing any more information other than British MPs tried to enter Israel. This is Keir Starmer when he took over the Labour Party said he's going to get rid of, he didn't say it in those words, but Corbynism, essentially, the anti-Semitism that came with Labour's previous leader, Jeremy Corbyn. And to an extent he has, including getting rid of Jeremy Corbyn himself, but clearly to an extent he hasn't. And these two MPs and David Lammy and Keir Starmer's own policies on Israel show that very, very clearly. Paul says, what I meant was, how could they trust these women weren't up to espionage, spying for China or Yemen? I don't know. You mean the UK when letting them in? Look, yeah, Daniel, first of all, you said something about I'm glad they left their countries, and I wanted to say I'm absolutely not glad they left their countries. I'm glad when good people born in bad places manage to get out and live a better life. These women came to the West to ruin it,
Well,
clearly, to try. Yeah.
just quickly, Yuan Yang came here as a child, so she grew up in the UK. She's the result of the British system.
Fair enough, but the result is such that looking back, no, it's not a good thing that they came here. It is a good thing when again, good people, actual victims of the regimes in Yemen and China and anywhere else where there are totalitarians, manage to escape. But yeah, espionage. I don't know. First of all, if they're spies, they're like the stupidest spies in the world. I would think a spy would, maybe express support for Israel, so that, they wouldn't be suspected, rather than support the terrorists and then come to the country they're trying to spy on and say we're on an intelligence gathering mission. But anyway, thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. Daniel.
Yeah, and also by the time you get to like MP level, I'd be like surprised. Not to mention, even when they were going to Israel, I have no idea what espionage they could even do. Like we knew, and we would know that they're going there. They were just going to some organization. So I don't think that's the thing. And if it was, I think Israel could easily say that. Although it would mean accusing British MPs of being spies of foreign nations. I don't know how that would go. Now, one of them has also said, or both of them have said about this, that we are two out of scores of MPs who have spoken out in Parliament in recent months on the Israel-Palestine conflict and the importance of complying with international humanitarian law. Parliamentarians should feel free to speak truthfully in the House of Commons without fear of being targeted, which again is like a really weird statement. But you're not it's not like Mossad is going after you in London to like do something to you. You were simply denied entry to enter a country, which and I believe it was paid for. Basically, Israel has offered to like pay for a hotel and then paid for the returning tickets. So which is the part and also they could have applied with Israeli courts about this decision. They could pretty much try to sue against this or try to basically argue against this in court. So yeah, this idea of like being targeted, and yeah, why should like Israel is fighting for its life when it comes to especially on the international stage. Like it's not able to like fight the war properly because of international pressure. Now again, it should ignore it and do it anyway because it's an independent nation that should act for itself. But every single international organization is going after Israel. It's truly fighting that battle. And the idea that you would come here and say Israel is not doing enough or is not really fighting the war properly, especially in this scenario, it's like at this point, if you are still, like I said earlier, if at this point you're undecided about Israel and you think Israeli actions are not what you would see when a proper war takes place, I don't know what to tell you. You, if you argue against Israeli actions in Gaza, you are you are straight up a pacifist. You are somebody who believes nations should not defend themselves, that individuals should not defend themselves, and should let every terrorist take them over, or should let themselves be completely destroyed. That is like if Israel is not fighting the war properly, then no nation ever will.
Yeah, but that's again, that's taking them at their word, and you shouldn't take them at their word because again, they it's not a, war is wrong kind of thing because like you said, after October 7th, not a word. They're not dealing with other actors and other wars around the world. It's a Israel issue. They are specifically against that one, the one Jewish country in the world, and yeah, and the idea that they are being targeted, it's like, come on, David, say what you really think beyond that. I mean, who was targeted on October 7th? Was it the poor Palestinians who broke out of their open air prison and were resisting occupation and then some of them died? Like, are they the victims? Because that is would be logically consistent if you think these two terrorist supporters are victims. Again, Britain has an upside down justice system within this country and a completely upside down foreign policy, especially when it comes to Israel. And this country is becoming scarier than it was under the conservatives, and it was pretty scary under the conservatives.
Akira in the chat says, to be fair, humanitarian tactics, AI suicide is not proper defense. Yeah, and that's the biggest problem with Israel because it's simultaneously trying to claim that it's complying with international law while trying to fight the war. And it's impossible. You cannot fight the war compassionately. You cannot fight a war humanitarily. I mean, because it's going against each other. You are fighting against a society that declared war on you. You cannot somehow separate that society that is like fighting you and from the goals of the war. It's impossible. You are clashing. Like you are schizophrenic. You have two minds that are trying to do two different things. You once a war starts, that's it. All humanitarian goals, all civility, all like everything goes away. And this is the worst part about people trying to whitewash war. War is not something that, you go to buy a bread at the baker and maybe he wants $5 and you just want to pay $4. So you start a duel between each other to decide what's happening. That's not a civil society. That's not something that just can happen and then you can move on and go to and you kill the baker and you move on to the other day because that's how you decided to like resolve that specific disagreement. Once you start shooting guns, that's it when it comes to any rules. That's it when it comes to any idea of being compassionate with the other side. You have to, and that's why you have to end the war as soon as possible because it's so destructive. Because that it's not fun stuff. It's not productive. It's not. like it's not a good time to spend your efforts. That's why you need to finish as soon as possible and reestablish the rule of law, reestablish some form of civility as soon as possible, not drag it for years because you want to be compassionate with the other side.
Yeah, yeah. As you said, war is essentially the, abandonment of civility, although in their case they haven't abandoned it because they never had it. But it's and again, if you actually want bad things that happen in war to stop happening in this case, you would, like you said, what you would oppose Israel doing is the incredible amount that they have paid in coin and blood to reward the people of Gaza specifically for October 7th in the form of humanitarian aid, in the form of soldiers risking their lives and losing their lives so that so-called innocent civilians won't be harmed, although these innocent civilians uh, at the very least did nothing while this was being done in their name, and we know the did nothing people are probably a very, very small minority. Um, Inuk Shuk, who earlier said that this was probably at the behest of David Lammy, says those two would not act alone without approval from higher up. Tlaib and Omar tried the same thing several years ago, just my opinion. I don't know that they wouldn't do it without, I don't know how that stuff goes, so I can't say one way or another. It wouldn't shock me if we did find out that this is the case, but I haven't seen any evidence towards that. Yeah, when Tlaib and Omar, I remember when they tried this, and yeah, I think again, Israel sending people back is in a sense like Israel deporting the Palestinians. It's an act of generosity towards people who probably don't deserve it, but this is maybe the the prudent way to go about things, and choose your battles, and there are more important things than getting justice to these MPs, especially since again their own country um, thinks of them as essentially on the right side of this, which is astonishing.
Yeah, now for I think we have some British viewers. So for those who one thing that's a bit not necessarily unique, but one thing that's different, especially among European nations about the UK, is the fact that you have constituencies. So for people in those specific constituencies, and I'm not sure if I saved them. No, I don't think I saved them. But you can actually vote these people out. Especially, I think Yuan Yang, she won by a very thin margin, and by a like really small minority. I think she only got like 38% of the votes, and the conservative representative had like 37%, and then the liberal Democrats were like 15. So she wasn't even elected by the majority of her own constituency, but very relatively small plurality, so we can definitely get rid of these people in the next elections, hopefully as soon as possible, although alternative doesn't look that bright either.
I mean, a 1% difference if in the bloodbath that was this year's election for the Conservatives means that yeah, if she was up now for re-election, she would not keep her seat. But yeah, we have for 4.5 years of these people in power, and actually a bit less, right? Four years and 3 months. Let's count the days. Yeah, some of us hope to be out of here before Labor gets its all its stuff in. Um, okay, I think there was something else in the chat. Anything else, Daniel, so I can find what it was that I wanted to comment on.
Um, just that I think whenever I even see stories like this, I think the biggest problem is always I'm not even sort of I cannot even be mad at like evil people like this who are like I'm more disappointed with Israel is the fact that we are even dealing with this issue. Is the fact that they can even like come in. The fact that there is even the West Bank they can even go to do some sort of pathfinding mission or whatever it was. It should have been taken all a long time ago. It should have been controlled a long time ago. There should And the moral case for Israel should have been done a long time ago. So people cannot do this stuff because they are using Israel's hope or Israel's sort of trust in the international system as it is, which I think is very flawed right now. By that I mean when Netanyahu goes to the UN and tries to speak to the better of those people, or tries to engage with, goes into the ICJ and tries to argue the case that they are not committing genocide. And that's the most disappointing part is they are giving the moral sanction to those organizations. They are giving the moral sanctions to international law itself, which people like these guys can then use it to argue against Israel. And that simply should have been discarded a long time ago.
So Paul said in the chat, I hear a new take on From the River to the Sea. Little island in the sea, close your borders to be free. Is that Britain or is that where we're sending the Palestinians? Because if it's the latter, I'm not behind that idea. Again, it's too much a reward because it actually gives them a state as a reward for October 7th. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, this was one of the two topics that we were thinking of doing today. The other being um, an update on what is going on with the so-called paramedics. There are updates. You may have seen them. I don't want to open up that topic now. Maybe we'll do it on the reality show tomorrow. But it is like all of these horrible things that we hear, as the Palestinians report it. Their propaganda army in the West repeats it, usually embellishes it, and then the facts come out, and it was terrorists. Paul said, "I meant the UK." Yeah, I mean it rhymes, but I don't support the policy there. Um, All right, tomorrow on the Daily Objective, I'm joined by Adam Mossoff to talk about Mahmoud Khalil, the real victim of this war, if we are to believe some. And we'll also be back with the reality show. Thanks, Daniel. Parting thoughts?
Götterdalen da ist.
And thanks everybody for watching. We will be back tomorrow.